Okay, in this particular video, we're going to revisit the book of Genesis, okay? And as doing that, of course, we're going to determine if there's a difference between God, and Lord. Keep watching. Okay, all right, thank you for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, what I go over, of course, is esoteric and exoteric research in retrospect to how it influences cultures and everything. And if you like that type of content, consider subscribing so you don't miss future videos, okay? So going back to the book of Genesis, what we want to look at, of course, is we want to see if there's a difference between God, and Lord, okay? I'm not going to do a full extensive video on this topic. I just want to introduce a couple of things to you, and hopefully what you'll do, of course, is you'll go back into the book of Genesis yourself, study to show thyself approved, and then you would actually look at the resources that you'll gather in this video and try to determine where we're going with this, okay? So let's go back to Genesis chapter 1. Now, what we're familiar with, of course, is that there's an Adam, there's an Eve, and so forth, and there's a creation, right? So, but if you actually go back and go into the words, because you have to listen to what the words are saying. So what the civilization of deception has done, of course, is they've deceptively used terms like God and Lord God and Lord of hosts and Most High and all these various different types of things, because what they want you to think is that everything can be grouped into one basket and it's all talking about the same thing. But what we're going to find out in this particular video, that it's not. There is a difference, and we need to go and find out what that difference is. So let's go into the book of Genesis. Let's start with chapter 1 here. Let's go and look at line 27. So it says, so God created man in his own image. This is the key here. It says God created man in his own image. Okay. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. Okay. So as we see here in line 27, it says God created man in his own image. Okay, in the image of God created him. He didn't say created him and her. He said created him. So let's find out what the characteristic trait here is. It says male and female created he them. So what we are noticing here in this line 27, if we just look at it exactly how it's read here, it appears that God is both male and female, and he created man, or him, in his own image, male and female created he them. Okay, that's what it said God did. So notice how it said the word God here. Okay, now the Lord God comes up a little bit later, but let's look at this one more time just in case. So let's go to chapter 2 here and look at something real quick, that I think needs to be addressed here. So line 1, it says, thus the heavens, right? So we have the heavens being finished, thus the heavens finished first, and the earth were finished. So we have the heavens finished first, and then we have the earth finished. Now this is God, okay? All right. So then we go to line 3. It says, and God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, right? And then we have line 4 where it says, these are the generations of the what? Heaven. So we have the heavens still first here, because that still is linking up with God. You see that? It says, and of the earth, and the earth came second. Now, notice something. It says, when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. So now we have the earth being mentioned first, and then the heavens being mentioned second. So what we want to look at here is that we have God and his creation, or in the father-mother creation. And then we have the Lord God coming into play here, creating the earth and its heavens. Okay, now the earth has its heavens. Okay, so then in line 5, we have in every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb the field that it grew, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon what? The earth yet. Okay, had not caused it to rain upon the earth yet. So then let's go to line 9 here. And then it says, out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree, right? That is pleasant to the sight. But then in line 8, we go back up and it says, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward. Okay, go up to line 7. It says, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground. So now we have another formation of man here. So if we go to Genesis chapter 1, line 27, it says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So now we have the heaven generation. The generations of the heavens being done here. And then when we fast forward to Genesis chapter 2, line 7, now we have the generations of the earth being formed here. Do you see that? So we have the generations of the earth being formed by the earth, but then we have the generations of the heavens being formed with the heavenly substance. Okay, so we have the generation of the heavens and we have the generations of the earth, because in line 7 chapter 2 it says man was formed from the dust of the ground. It didn't say that there was male and female at this particular moment. So now we're just dealing with another generation. So we're dealing with the generations of the earth here. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So hopefully what you'll do is you'll go back and revisit this line by line, and you want to write down the word God. You want to write down Lord God, and then you're going to see why we're going to say the word Lord in a little bit here. But you want to try to make sure that you draw a separation between this, because there is one, and it is not all dealing with the same topic here. Okay, so then what we have, if we fast forward to Genesis chapter 5, it says this is the book of the generations of Adam. Okay, so it didn't get specific here, but it will. It says, in the day that what? God created man. In the likeness of God made he him, male and female created he them, and blessed them and call their name what? Adam. So we have the generations of the heavens whose name was Adam, and then we have the generations of the earth where there was a creation from the dust of the ground, and Adam was formed from the dust of the ground there. Okay, and then we have later on where the Lord God said that it's not good that man or this creation, this earthly man should be alone. So then that's when a sleep was placed upon him, so to speak, and then that's when Eve, of course, was made and everything like that to be a helpmate to him. So that's the reason why I wanted to revisit Genesis in this manner. I'm not going to go deep into this because I want you to be able to look at what we've gone over here, and hopefully you can go and look at this yourself, and then you will be able to itemize everything that you see here, because the way that it was put together this way for a reason. And when you have the leaders of the faithless nations taking this text and promulgate it in such a way, it's up to you to make sure that you study to show yourself approved and verify that all those things are so. Like the Bereans did. It said they searched the scriptures daily. They didn't do it, once a week or once a year or anything like that. They made sure that they searched the scriptures daily to find out if those things were so. So that's something that you also have to do for your soul journey and on your path of attainment, is to make sure that you verify everything that's being brought out to you. So I want you to go back, if you can, to the book of Genesis, and you want to be able to, on a piece of paper or whatever the case may be, you want to write down these different divisions on how stuff is being explained in here. And then you want to see, okay, well, is it the same? Is it the same that we're talking about? And what you'll come to find out that it's not. So the first time that the word Lord is actually mentioned, let's see here if we can find that. So, let's see, the first time the word Lord is mentioned here. So it looks like the first time that the word Lord is mentioned is in chapter 4. Okay, in Genesis chapter 4, we find that it's not saying God in this context, and it's not saying Lord God, it's only saying Lord. So in chapter 4, this is what it says. It says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from who? From the Lord. Didn't say I have gotten a man from God or I have gotten a man from the Lord God. It says I have gotten a man from Lord here. It says, and that's what we got going on here. So in this particular section, now we're dealing with sacrifices and everything. And it looks like whoever this Lord is did not like the herb sacrifice that was done. It only had pleasure in the blood sacrifice, according to what's written here. But if we rewind and start saying, okay, now that we know that the Lord likes blood sacrifices, let's find out what God likes. Okay, so then we have Genesis chapter 1. Let's start at line 27 again. It says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them, and God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish and so forth. And then in line 29, it says, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, so it shall be for meat or for consumption. So now we see God is saying that, you know, we're dealing with fruits and herbs here. So let's find out what the Lord God is saying. So let's go here to let's see here. So let's start at line 7 here. Now we're dealing with the Lord God. It says, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Okay, so it appears here, let's go down here to line 16. It says, and the Lord God commanded man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. So it looks like here that we have God saying herbs, fruit, and so forth, and now we have the Lord God saying, you know, of all the trees of the garden thou mayest freely eat, except for this one. All right, so that's what we have here. Now, when we fast forward and we deal with the Lord, it seems like the Lord didn't like the herb sacrifice that was being done. Or this Lord only had pleasure in the blood one. So now we see that there's a difference between God, Lord God, and Lord. And one of the ways that we can determine that, of course, is that we see that the Lord delights in blood, and we see that God and the Lord God delights in herbs and fruits and so forth. And then we see that there's two different types of creations here. We have God creating man as a female and a man in one. Okay, and then we have the Lord God creating man from the dust of the ground. So that was the generations of the earth. And then we dealt earlier dealing with God and his creation, or in the father mother creation, and that was the generations of the heavens. Okay, so I wanted to keep this video short. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them underneath the like button, and we can have a dialogue, of course. And I think you should probably revisit this book of Genesis, because we have to go back to the beginning here, or in a beginning, so to speak. And we want to try to line by line exactly how it's mentioned in Isaiah 28 and 10, and then following up with Psalm 111 line 10 in terms of how to understand what we're reading here. But it's very important that we verify all of the content that has been provided for us, and then look into other sources too to piece it all together, because it's all fragmented today. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.